How's it going, guys? Cracked Rack here. Today, we are going to talk about the hardest fall from grace I have probably seen in years. Nick Rekieta. Rekieta sounding like a fancy type of cheese. Now, before we get started, I just wanted to shill something I'm releasing. My new punk mixtape in a few days. Probably will get banned. Has some Lolcow songs on there. I have one on Vosh. I'm trying to get my mugshot that I got recently on the cover, but it's taking forever because getting a mugshot is kinda hard. That's not what this video is about. That's not why you came here. Nick Rekieta. Now, Nick Rekieta is not someone I ever paid much attention to. I always just assumed he was going to be a mainstay in the YouTube sphere making boring, grifting content. He's basically a graduated and licensed lawyer who is a grown man in his late 30s, early 40s, which isn't that old, but when you're in this position, yes it is. He decided to align himself with Kiwi Farms and Lolcows while in this position of power. Yeah, you can imagine how that went. He basically made these videos where he discussed Lolcows and their legal situations and their moral issues as a principled Catholic lawyer. A premise that never ends well for anyone. The concept of his videos sounded innocent enough, but as you can imagine, it spiraled into some extreme territory. So, where do we begin? Well, years ago, like nearly 10 years ago, he began his career idolizing Dick Masterson. Now, that's another video for another time. I don't know why people like Dick Masterson so much. He's a fucking weirdo. He just looks like a swinger who has sex all day and does cocaine. But whatever. After years of weird idolizations and weird influences, which are just super inappropriate for being a lawyer, even if you're not actively practicing, he started making videos, with his not-so-humble beginnings, that were instant gold mines for cheap viewage on Lolcow's legal documents. I don't even need to show you how his videos go. You can just picture it instantly. Imagine this guy laughing and basically being a bully while drinking alcohol, whiskey, and stuff, and slowly reading legal documents about lolcows and translating them into layman's terms. Things like so-called lol suits, which are, I think, a lawsuit that a lolcow is involved in, which is just, who gives a shit? Apparently the entire world and the Queen of England does. But anyways, at the time, when he was like at his peak in like 2020, and I was making lolcow content for like the first time, I thought he was kind of cool. I liked his image. I liked the, professional lawyer, adult guy, taking on these extremely stupid topics with an authority. But I thought of him as cool in the same way that I thought of a character from Grand Theft Auto 4 was cool. I didn't know that he actually thought of himself as a principled, fine lawyer. That's just embarrassing. He was a caricature to me. I saw him as a novelty that probably wouldn't last, or if he did last, would just be a boring grifter forever, like a faceless, nameless top 10 YouTuber or something. Kiwi Farms inevitably struck back. You see, you can't just make lolcow content, profit off of it, and expect things to be chill. It's like getting involved in the Colombian drug trade, but the internet version. You're gonna have turf wars, envious parties, narcissistic losers analyzing you. You're gonna have people who actually want to kill you and like literally slit your throat open. And then you're gonna have people who absolutely adore you and obsess over you all day. Nick is yet another example of a pathetic person falling into this trap and being unable to claw himself out. First of all, I didn't like him that much because he never covered interesting lolcows. If he did, it was just for a minute and skimming over it, maybe an episode or two. He usually covered the really boring ones, like Vic Mignaga or Ethan Ralph, people who I'm surprised are even still alive. He started a huge successful fundraiser to help the reputation of Vic Mignaga, who is like this creepy-ass actor and celebrity that people like because he played Captain Kirk and some anime characters or dubbed it really well, and he's kind of hot. Which is pretty common whenever you have a somewhat attractive celebrity who made art people liked. No matter what they're alleged of, even if they did it or not, you'll have a couple 100,000 people who support them and want to, spend millions of dollars on them to save their life. Now, I don't care if he did it or not. I will say he does give me a bit of a sex pest vibe. He's a little creepy, but it's not my place to decide that. He could be totally freaking innocent. So don't lynch me for saying that. Anyways, Nick Rekieta did that, which is like raising a fundraiser for Kevin Spacey. Like, cool, dude. Then he just started grifting big topics like Kyle Rittenhouse and Amber Heard in 2020 or whatever, and he just narrowed down basic legal situations into layman's terms. A format that could be done by anybody with knowledge. These types of YouTubers are infinitely replaceable. But anyways, I guess all this grifting had a massive payoff of success for him, which is something you will see with just about every Lolcow. They will have these huge bursts of success from the first year or so of grifting. Everybody loves them, everybody knows them, everyone supports them. Then one thing happens. Could be anything, and it triggers a horrible ego injury. The grifting slows, and everybody stops caring about them. Trust me, I would know. I mean, at his peak, he was bordering on celebrity. Nowadays, he gets less views than Rogue Internet Man. Around this time of his peak, Steven Crowder would chat him up. All these celebrities wanted to get legal advice from him like he was some sexy celebrity. He thought he was untouchable. He even bragged about being uncancelable. Let me tell you, nobody's uncancelable. If news came out today that Eminem beat the shit out of a baby, he'd be done. And yeah, basically after the first several years of grifting, making boring legal videos that people were treating like the next coming of Linkin Park, he started to slow down on the content. He started making irrelevant, boring-ass videos and streams that weren't interesting at all. You remember those cringy items videos where he just started trying to change the subject of the videos to something that was just totally unrelated to Kickstarter crap and just disowns his past? Yeah, it was as bad as that. He had made so much money, and I mean like millions of freaking dollars. He just didn't care anymore. But that's where I start to hate him, because his job was not hard. All he had to do was not even make jokes. All he had to do was use his decades of knowledge to give layman's terms on legal documents for millions of very invested fans. Every video he did could have set his child up for life, or his children, times 10. His videos also became really sexual and weird and embarrassing. And there's just nothing fun about watching a totally average-looking, maybe even ugly, 40-year-old man obsessed over sex and sex interests. It's disgusting. Nobody likes it. Unless they're like a supermodel. Especially coming from someone who is advertising themselves as basically a moral public servant. I love degeneracy, but I can't stand public figures that are like in high roles of public servitude obsessing over sex. It's nasty. It's like a police officer obsessing over sex. Does that sound cool to you? He also became publicly obsessed with the concept of a sex toy known as the baldo. It's a sex toy where you basically penetrate your partner's vajayjay with your manhood, and then you attach the baldo to your testes, and you can insert the other place too at the same time. How that even works in motion, I don't know. Why that would be pleasurable, I don't know. I guess I just don't have Nick Rekieta's high level of intellect. It's just very degenerate and gross. I feel like gay sex would be less graphic than that as a straight man. Not to mention, he's using the baldo on her? Ew!
I don't know what that means either, but I love it. I love it.
Baldo.
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 I love it.
Well, anyway, then Nick started falling into the same repetitive traps that every single Lolcow and edgy content creator falls into. Claiming that he doesn't like his law content anymore, and that it doesn't matter, and his audience is stupid for wanting it. Started neglecting his channel. Started blowing off his streams because of his stupid wife. Nick basically fell into that. He also started making weird comments about how he goes to these bars and quote-unquote rejects orgies near nightly, which is not true. He absolutely accepts them. He is so old, when he brings up a situation like this, and he says he didn't do it, he did. And he did it with a big smile on his face, probably with a baldo on. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of this. It's just that Nick claims that he is so morally superior and has for so long, so his behavior sucks. Nick then started to get a big head, thinking that he was untouchable yet again. He was warned numerous times to stop poking bears, because he wasn't just poking one bear, he was poking like 15, and then he had 15 hungry bears surrounding him at once. For example, on his massive platform, he accused a defamation-hungry Lolcow of sucking on little boys' cocks. This caused a massive lawsuit that cost Nick over 6 figures. At this point, Nick lost most of his audience, like 70%. He had 400,000 subscribers. If you play your cards right with that, you're set for life. So he started getting criticized. Oh no! And these weren't just people insulting him, because then it would be justified to ignore it or delete it. No, he started hating critics that actually were real, genuine detractors, wishing for them to die. And yeah, people just started hating him. They thought he was a total douchebag. Now he lost 85% of his audience, with thousands of unsubscribes a goddamn month. Barely 50 viewers on some of his streams. I even do better than that. Other things include fans reaching out to him desperate for mental health assistance, and him for some reason accepting before having an hour-long phone call with them where he berates them and talks down to them like they're retarded. But then came the final blow. The reason that I think he is a supreme douchebag. He got his residence raided, I believe by a judge he personally beefed with because he thought he was so legally smart compared to the judge. His home was raided and they found cocaine. Not just a little bit, not just a bag. 25 grams worth. And they found guns and crack pipes. This stuff, if you didn't have any legal knowledge, could get you life in prison. But then he had his children running around the house with several $1,000s of cocaine and guns in it, which is so evil. That could have ended terribly, even if he put it in a safe or whatever. So yeah, his life was rightfully ruined. They had to pay over $100,000 of restitution. So now, his channel's dead. He gets a couple thousand views per video with 400,000 subscribers. Probably going to be gone in the next couple years because people hate him so much. The only people in his comments are complimenting him deeply, which tells me he's deleting hundreds of thousands of hate comments. And he only surrounds himself with complete idiot yes men. One of them is just like this fat loser he was interviewing or whatever, and he's like, yeah, man, I had a favorite hobby. I liked to play World of Warcraft, and I stopped because your streams were on, and now I don't have nothing to do. So there you go. There's the horrifying, quick explanation downfall of Nick Rekieta. From my POV, yes, I said POV, I think he's just a narcissist. I don't even see him as a Lolcow. He fits the narcissistic archetype to a T. He had some real narcissistic talents and charisma after a so-called traumatic childhood with his legal abilities. He had a narcissistic supply parade with his rise and peak. Then he got too high on his own supply, literally, and then had a huge narcissistic collapse, and now is desperate for anything he can get. That's all. See ya.